Story time about how I did the you-know-what with my celebrity crushes. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I'm from a really small town in the Midwest. Growing up, I knew I wanted to go to LA and be famous. As soon as I turned 20, I decided to move to LA. Showed up to LA with $400 and a dream. My dream was to meet all of my celebrity crushes. I happened to be tall and pretty good looking, so I got myself a modeling agency. A few weeks after I got to LA, I booked my first job. I got to model for a runway show. From there, I met a stylist who introduced me to a bunch of people. And from that, I was able to start going to a bunch of industry parties. I met tons of celebrities, influencers, and basically socialites. I even met Kim Kardashian at a party 4 years ago. When I would go to these parties, I would tell people that I was a model. But in order to prove that, I had to have a pretty big following on Instagram. So I took all of my savings that I had, and I bought myself 100,000 followers on Instagram. With those 100,000 followers, I was able to get verified. And after that, I started DMing as many celebrities as I could, especially my celebrity crushes. And no, I won't say who they are. After a few weeks, I still didn't have the responses that I wanted, aka from my celebrity crushes, but I started getting some responses from other celebrities. Not as famous or good looking, but still people that could definitely help me get to them. Basically, my life consisted of going to castings, go-sees, and going to photo shoots. I also started doing music videos, and this is when it really got interesting. I started meeting tons of rappers and started getting invited to bigger and bigger parties. Like, really exclusive parties. The kind where you couldn't take your phone in, and the kind where you had to sign an NDA to make sure that you couldn't say anything about what you saw at the party. My Instagram was also growing really quickly. I went from 100,000 followers to 150,000 within a few months. I even became really good friends with some celebrities that worked on TV shows, like the kind of TV shows that you guys see on Netflix. I felt like I was getting closer and closer to my dream, but still, I never met my celebrity crushes at any of those parties. One morning, I wake up to a few DMs on my Instagram, and it was one of my celebrity crushes. I basically sent him a message just saying, "Hey, I'm in town, I'd love to take you out for a drink." And he replied with a yes. Nothing else, just a yes. I quickly replied and asked him if he wanted to go for a drink that night. He agreed to meeting up at a bar on Sunset Boulevard. I want you guys to understand something though. I was looking for a boyfriend, not just a one night, So I wore my cutest outfit, nothing sexy. I basically looked like a Chanel model from the 1950s. As soon as he saw me, he told me that I was beautiful and we got to talking. Everything was going really, really great. After that, you know what happened. But here's the thing. I messaged him on Instagram the next day and he didn't reply. He didn't even ask me for my phone number. I got really sad, but the next day I opened up my DMs to another celebrity crush. So after I had my date with my biggest celebrity crush ever, he never called me back. But the very next day, I wake up to a DM from another celebrity crush. Now, I didn't think this one would respond because he was in a relationship at the time. No, I'm not going to say who it is. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. He was super nice over DM and asked me if I wanted to go have lunch. I said yes, of course. We decided to have lunch on the weekend. Throughout the week, he would message me and ask me how I was, but 2 days before the meeting, he totally ghosted me. I didn't hear back from him at all. So the day before the date, I texted him. He finally replied and told me that he had been working. We decided to have dinner and he started asking me tons of questions, like if I had a boyfriend, and I told him I was totally single. When I asked him if he had a girlfriend, he stayed quiet. He said he didn't want to answer that question. Of course I knew he had a girlfriend because it was all over the tabloids. Like there were tons of paparazzi pictures of them together. But here's the thing. We had a fancy dinner. Then he asked me if I want to go back to his place. Of course I said yes. And when I get there, I see pictures of him with his girlfriend, the one he didn't want to talk about before. I then go to the bathroom, open the cabinets, and it's full of girl stuff. I quickly realized that he took me to his girlfriend's place to you know what. I mean, maybe they had an open relationship, but at the same time, like, why would he take me to his girlfriend's place? But I kept my goal in mind. We finally, you know what? And then afterward, he asked me if I wanted to sleep over. That's when I told him no because I knew that we were in his girlfriend's place. He starts laughing and tells me that she's out of town and that she'll never find out that he took me there. I asked him how many girls he's taken there before, and once again, he said he didn't want to answer the question. He then hit me up every single day for like a month. I didn't know if I should DM again because of the whole girlfriend thing, but then I got another DM. So finally, my third celebrity crush DMs me back. No, I'm not going to say who it was, but he's pretty famous. He actually invited me over to his place for dinner. He ordered some takeout and we watched a movie. We finally got down to it, you know what, and it was really bad. And the worst part is, afterward, he asked me if it was good. Of course, I lied and said, yes, it was great. The look of relief on his face was apparent. How could it be so insecure being so famous and so attractive? I didn't get it. I actually did go out with him 2 more times, but I kind of got bored of him. Remember the second celebrity I told you about in part 2? He started getting really crazy. He would call me and text me all the time, and when I wouldn't answer, he would send me messages asking where I was. He became super jealous and controlling. I decided to block him, but I'm now considering if I should maybe unblock him, because the other celebrities I DM'd haven't DM'd me back. But I have a whole new list of celebrities I'm gonna be DMing. Should I text number 2 back? What do you guys think?
So story time takes place the last year I was in high school, okay? Now I don't talk about this a ton, but I left school to pursue YouTube full time, and then I tried to go back a few months into leaving, try to finish school, just so I could get my diploma, but I basically ended up not being able to for multiple reasons, this being one of them. So I went back to school when I had about 250k subs on YouTube, so I wasn't like making a full-time living off it yet, but I was doing well enough to where I could like pursue it. And I went back to school, and I didn't know how much of a problem this was gonna be, okay? Like when you leave school and nobody knows who you are, and you kind of just, go on every day normally, and you come back and you have 250,000 followers, people are, what I like to say, absolute leeches, just clout chasers, okay? Not all of them, okay? Not everybody's like that, but a select few people at my school were, and I should have known it was going to be a huge problem when I went back. And yeah, that's what this is about, okay? So the first week of me being back at school, trying to finish school, there was this girl, okay? Now I'd never talked to her a day in my life. I had never even met her before. We only just kind of saw each other in the hallways. We shared a few classes together, but all I knew about her is she hung out with some people that I did not like. She hung out with this group of people that was just known for getting into shit and trouble and like messing with people. They just weren't my type of people, okay? So one day, in the first week I'm back at school, I walk into school, I go to my locker, I get ready for my day, I grab my folder and what I need out of my locker, and all of a sudden this girl walks up to me. This girl I've never talked to a day in my life. And she's like, hey, I don't mean to be a bother, but like, is this you? And she shows me a photo of myself on Google of Luna YouTuber. And I'm like, yes, that's me, how you doing? And she's like, wow, that's really cool, like, how long have you been doing that for? I'm like, not too long now, honestly, like, it just kind of started becoming like a really serious thing for me. And she was like, that's cool, so like, do you make a lot of money off it? And I'm like, not a lot, but enough to like, pay my bills and shit like that. I don't know why I said this. I was literally a kid at this point. I did not pay any bills other than helping my mom pay my own phone bill, but like, that was it. And she was like, oh, that's dope. Well, I just wanted to see if it was you, so yeah, have a good one. And she turns around, she walks away. And I think to myself, but at the same time, like, whatever. You just want to know if it was me or not. So she walks away, and little did I know, she was basically staking me out. She was like casing me for a future crime, alright? You're probably like, Austin, how do you know this? Well, just listen, alright? So fast forward all the way into the day, okay? Like past lunchtime, it was the last 2 periods before school was out. I was in class, just doing my work, having a normal ass day, looking forward to the bell ringing and me getting out of class. And sadly, Luna on this day drank a little bit too much Gatorade, so I had to go to the bathroom, okay? So I get up and I walk over to my teacher's desk, and I'm like, hey, can I go to the bathroom? And he's like, yeah, for sure, grab the pass from the front desk. And then as I go to grab it, he looks up at the clock and he sees that the bell's about to ring. He's like, actually, Austin, the bell's gonna ring any minute, like, just wait, okay? I'm like, alright, fine. So I put the pass back down, I go back to my desk, I sit down, and I wait. And it took a lot longer than I expected. The bell finally rings, I grab my stuff quickly, and I fast walk out of there. I was the first one out of the classroom, fast walk down the hallway. I get to the bathroom, and I go in there, and I was the only one in there. I go to the bathroom, and I go over to the sink, and I start washing my hands. And while I'm washing, this person just walked in, and I look over, and it's this girl, the girl that I talked to earlier. Same girl. But then I realized something again. I'm like, wait a minute, this is the boys' bathroom. Why is she in here? So I ask her that. I'm like, hey, like, this is the guys' bathroom. Are you supposed to be in here? And she was like, yeah, I'm supposed to be. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, I didn't think much of it. I thought, alright, maybe she has like written permission from the school to use the boys' bathroom or something, or like, can't use the girls because it's broken or something. I don't know. I didn't think much of it. But then all of a sudden, she walks up to me while I'm washing my hands, and she goes, turn the sink off. I'm like, why? And she goes, just do it. And she reaches over and just turns it off for me. And my hands are soaking wet, just dripping. So I grab a paper towel. She takes off her backpack and starts unzipping it. And she's just staring at me the whole time. And I'm actually getting scared. I'm like, yo, what is she about to pull out of her backpack? Like, what is she doing? And all of a sudden, she pulls out this thing that looks like an actual gun. And I looked at it for a second, and I realized that it was probably an airsoft gun. It looked plastic and fake and just like really, really flimsy. But it didn't have an orange tip on it. So I'm not taking my chances, okay? Like, if that thing is real, I'm not gonna sit here and call her out. Like, I'm not trying to, lose my life right now at school. And I'm like, yo, just put that down. Like, I don't know what you want with me, but like, put that down. Just please. And she was like, don't worry, I'm gonna put it down in a second after you give me what I want. I was like, okay, what do you want? She's like, all the money in your wallet, everything of value in your backpack. Now, go, hurry. So I open up my backpack and I start going through it to find my wallet and anything else that she might want. And this whole time I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, this random girl who I met for the first time today is actually robbing me right now. Like, I did not expect it to be a girl either. Like, that shocked me. So I go in my backpack, I grab my phone, I grab my wallet, wallet. I give her both things. I'm like, look, this is all I got that has any value in here. And she's like, let me see. And she starts going through my backpack herself. And then after she realizes I'm telling the truth, she puts her little airsoft or maybe real gun in the side of her pants and puts her shirt over it. But the thing was, she was wearing a super like short cut shirt, so you could still see it on the side of her. And she walks out with my stuff, and she just goes out into the hallway. And I realize as she's walking out into the hallway, you can still see it on the side of her waist. Like you can see it, the handle. And I'm like, yo, that's not good. So I immediately grab all my stuff. I put it in my backpack. I zip it up, and immediately I walk out of that bathroom and I start walking towards my next class because I just did not want to even think about what just happened. Like, I don't know. I wanted to tell someone about it, but at the same time, if I did, I was worried that I was going to get hurt. So I didn't think much of it, and I walked out of the bathroom. But when I walked out, I realized something. I look over to my right, and I see a security guard escorting her upstairs to the main office, holding her by the arm, and everyone's looking at her. And I'm like, yo, what the hell just happened? So I asked one of my friends, I'm like, yo, why is everyone looking at her? He's like, bro, she has a weapon on her. I'm like, what? How'd that security guard know? Asking an obvious question I already knew the answer to. And he's like, dude, she just had it tucked in her jeans. Like, you could see it, like, easy as day. Like, it was just right there. She didn't have her shirt covering it or anything. I'm like, shit. So after this, I go to my class, right? And I try not to think about what just happened. And while I'm in class, an announcement comes on over the overhead announcements. It goes, Austin to the main office? And I think to myself, like, okay, here we go. So I get up, I gather my things, I walk up to the main office, I sit down in the main office with my principal, and none other than the girl that just robbed me. And there's 2 police officers in the room, a security guard. They're all...
Okay, when I was in like 9th grade, I was super boy crazy. I mean, like, I don't even think it was because it had to do with boys, or like I just like was not receiving enough attention at home. But I wanted a boyfriend. I wanted a boyfriend, and I was gonna get a boyfriend. And I wasn't that picky because I thought having a boyfriend was just like an experience you needed to have, so like anybody would do, like as awful as that is. Even like boys I didn't really like, because it wasn't about what they looked like or how annoying they were. It was about, you know, could they be a good boyfriend like Disney Channel said? And I had a roster essentially of guys because, you know, you need to be prepared. Oh my god, that looks crazy. I had online boyfriends on Kik. I had boyfriends on Facebook. I had boyfriends on Habu Hotel. Like, I had them. And I even had a roster at school. But the issue is my school roster wasn't... whoa, it's coming out everywhere. It wasn't as what you think. It wasn't as good as you would think it was. Like, my online boyfriends were way cuter than the boys, like, at school. Because, you know, I wasn't trying to, like, spit up what I looked like. So, I could be like, yeah, I'm, like, so popular at school. And, like, only the cool, popular boys date me. I'm saying I had to stay in my league. I had to stay in my league. And that I did. And there was this one boy that I would talk to, and his name was Caleb. And we did theater together. Oh, that's so thick. And he was emo, but like in a poser way. I'm gonna be honest. Like, he didn't have the pizzazz that the other emo boys at my school had. But since I was like a theater orchestra, like, loser queen, you know, I could not attract like the real emo boys, so I had to settle for my off-brand guy. And in 9th grade, oh my god, in 9th grade, he wanted to ask me out. He was a romantic. He was a romantic. So how did he want to ask me out? He wanted to sing to me. He wanted to sing to me. And what sucked is like, I'm sorry if you're watching this, Caleb, you are not a good singer. He asked my friend. He straight up was like, what is her favorite song? And my favorite song, laugh at me, I don't care, at the time was Will You Marry Me by Bruno Mars. So I am going to 9th grade geometry, right? Who do I see turning the corner? Caleb. And Caleb looks at me, he's like, I have something to ask you. He looks me in the eye and he just starts singing like Bruno Mars, Will You Marry Me? It was the most mortifying thing in my entire life because it was in between classes. You were going to serenade me in between classes? Like, do you really not care about both of our social lives? Clearly not. Welcome back to part 2 of probably the most embarrassing thing to happen to me against my will. So, we are at the part where Caleb, in between classes, in front of a bunch of other 9th graders, is singing Will You Marry Me by Bruno Mars. And he finishes, and might I say, way off tune. really not like the best singer, wouldn't even get through one round of American Idol. Everybody's staring at me and he's like, so what do you say? Will you go out with me? Bad news for Caleb. Real bad news.